The Sentinel is known to be reliable, fearless, disciplined, consistent, courageous, motivated, and skillful.
So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances.
All these qualities start from the mind. Your mind can be your worst enemy or your most powerful weapon.
The world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft.
Is this the dagger?
Learn how to achieve greatness and tap into the Sentinel mindset.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another wicked special edition of the Sentinel Mindset. Today's topic, Mike, I'm really excited for. I'll tell you why. In our earlier videos, we talked about 10 ways that you can kind of kill your interview, right? And someone's killed it. Now they're on the job. Now they're doing their job. And I find usually in the first couple of months, we can even call it the probationary period. Nobody wants to get fired in their probationary period, that they're all working at the highest optimal level. And we like to call that the honeymoon phase, because the honeymoon phase in a relationship is the most joyous time frame ever, right?
Yeah.
And what happens after 3 months?
No one's breath stinks.
Yeah.
Nothing. Okay.
After 3 or 4 months, maybe 5 months, maybe a year, the honeymoon phase now is no longer the honeymoon phase. It's actually now kind of evolved into something else. And we can either see that person have their game elevated, or we can see that person has declined and they've become complacent. And what we've done is we put together some points that will help people maintain and keep the level that they came into the company the exact same. So 10 ways to perform your job and be the best on the job.
Okay, amazing.
Okay.
Sounds good. Well, let's look at the first one. First one is right off the top, be humble.
Be humble. And we actually have a comment here saying that you have a lot of learning to do. It doesn't matter the experience you have. We need to be able to mold your learning from day one. Okay. A lot of times, people will come in with a know-it-all mentality. Oh, I know this. I did this at my job 4 years ago. And what we like to tell people is stop, erase everything that you've done in your past. We're starting fresh here because we are a different company.
Yeah, it's important. I mean,
Yes.
You've heard it before. Come as an empty cup.
Exactly.
Okay, and the reason why this is a specific city, specific company, a specific group of people. You might have a knowledge base on the left here. The only way to know if it applies is if you trust the circle that you're joining.
Absolutely. And not only that, but just to kind of give you an example of being humble, I had a guy just yesterday reach out to me and let me know that based on the time of that he's been with the company, he's looking at getting an increase and he wants all these opportunities, to only find out that he's been with the company for less than 6 months. Mm-hmm. And when we say you have a lot of learning to do, the humility comes into place that we will let you know when you're at that place. Okay. Mm-hmm. And where ego comes into place is that it's like, okay, well, I know I'm here already, so I should have this. So again, be humble. It's a huge piece. It's probably one of the number one thing that we talk to our people all the time is humility.
Yeah, and just look at humbleness is openness.
Okay. Now, Mike, you're on the job right now.
Yeah.
You're on the job. And I find a lot of times it's very common, especially in our industry, where there's not a lot of excitement happening sometimes, right? But why don't we go into number 2, because this is an important one. And our clients see this, the public sees this, your coworkers sees this, everybody sees this.
Okay, the next point is be present. Where you are, be all there, which is a famous quote. Why that matters is we say this often, never let a shift be a shift.
Yes.
If you're working, again, it is security. It's on a bed of discipline, just like anyone else who works in law enforcement. Don't get it confused. We are in social settings, but professionals understand that we have a specific role. When you're there might not be anyone to talk to.
Right.
There might be no one else to really engage with. Find a way to be present. Find a way to be an asset to that client, to that environment, because you never know. You never know when it's going to get tested. And I'll give you an example. You might actually one day have to help a mother find out what happened to her kids. A mother runs to you at the front door and says, I think someone took my 2 children. You better have been paying attention.
Sorry, Mike. I was on my phone. I'm sorry, man. See, this actually is one of the biggest things that we're talking about being present, is that phone usage and distractions. If you're distracted, you're not present.
Absolutely. That was actually great acting right there.
Yeah, thanks, I was actually thinking, when is Mike going to see me doing this? He's probably thinking, what is this guy doing?
It's all good. I took it and rolled with it. Great point. I mean, let's show it versus just say it.
That's right.
Okay, so be present, which comes down to, in order to be present, when things happen, you need to be ready, which is our next point. Be poised.
That's right, Mike. And being poised, I'm going to read this because it's just so powerful. This is one of the most attractive qualities that a client sees in a security operative. They want to know that when a situation arises, we will stand our ground and exude a quiet confidence that allows us not to be shaken despite the circumstance. Now, whether you put this uniform on or you wear the sentinel pin, you shall be, and I'm going to get biblical right now, you shall be like a tree planted by streams of water, which yield its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever you shall do, you will prosper.
Okay, and that's huge because this means composure. This
Yes.
means when people hire security, they want to know that they're going to feel safe.
That's right.
They're buying the peace of mind that if something goes awry, if something goes wrong, if something happens that they're not prepared for,
Yes.
that we will have the composure and we'll be poised to help them get through it.
Absolutely. And by doing those points, it brings us to the next one, which is
Be professional.
what does that mean, Mike? I mean, what do you mean what does that mean to be professional?
You know what? I think it's important to kind of unbox because if you say, okay, make sure your room is clean,
Right.
to what degree of cleanliness do you need it?
Right.
When we say professional means it starts with your mentality that you will, in any way, shape, or form, and at every moment, present and be your best.
That's
that means
right.
that you will not lean. That means you will not be on your phone.
Yes.
That means you will not be distracted. That means that if someone's speaking to you, you will conduct yourself in a professional manner in your speech, which we've covered before.
Yes.
That you're not going to speak with profanity, with stuff, with a laissez-faire familiarity.
Right.
You will look, stand, and act the part of a professional.
That's right. That's exactly it. And that to me is something that someone should achieve to do every single day. It's not just a one-day thing. You got to be consistent on that as well.
Yeah, and professional means it's not just, it means a standard, an industry-wide standard. Now, that's actually interesting, though. Sometimes security doesn't have a really high standard.
Right.
You know, if you just kind of look at the average guard of the average company, you probably don't think great things.
Right.
Okay, so speak to that. What is the standard that we're looking for when we say be professional?
So to me, when I say the words be professional, when we say to the organization be professional, is basically work at a high standard, at a high level. And that is basically embodied. Actually, we talked a lot of points today. We talked about presentation. We talked about being on time. We talked about being humble. We talked about so many different elements. All these factor into being professional.
Yeah, like let's look at, again, it's always good to look at things that relate. Is there a difference between an amateur athlete and a professional athlete?
The only difference is how much they get paid.
Okay, but
Yeah.
and that's the reward
Yes.
for everything that they do
But
right.
but it's the same.
Yeah.
They're outputting the same, the amateur and the professional. The amateur is outputting to a level to get to the professional level.
Mm-hmm.
But he has to be able to demonstrate that or else he will never be a pro.
Yeah, and a pro
Yes.
are those that have kind of been pushed through all of the things that are distractions,
Right.
things that would derail them,
Right.
things that would actually make them lose focus. A professional is someone who takes everything seriously. The
Yes.
prep, you know, who they are, their sleep, right? What
That's
they
right.
put in their body, how they conduct themselves. So again, be professional. If you need to look into, I mean, that is a well within itself. Look it up. Get an idea of what professionals do in other industries and apply it to ours.
Okay, this next topic right now is going to probably be a little sensitive to some people, and that is be on time, okay? Now, we could have said arrive early. We could have said that.
Yes.
But we also know that a lot of people love their Employment Standards Act, and they need to understand that if they're going to get paid from the minute they show up to shift. And that's fine. If you want to get paid from the minute you showed up on shift, you need to be prepared to start your shift.
Exactly.
Okay? So being on time means that you are ready to go. The minute you walk on for 8 o'clock, hi, sir, how are you? How can I help you?
Yes.
It's not like, hey, Bob, how are you? Having a coffee, sipping it, and then 15 minutes later get into your job. If you want to do that, come early.
Yes.
And my personal recommendations to people is this. If your start time is 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 6 a.m., whatever that time is, what I like to do as a general practice is come early. Why? Again, prepare for the unexpected. To kind of gradually get into the mix of, I'm about to start my 8 to 10 hour day right now. Mm-hmm. When you just come in right away, it's the equivalent, in my opinion, of setting your alarm for 5:30, and then you wake up right at 5:30 and you are brushing your teeth at 5:30 in 10 seconds. Mm-hmm. And we all know that when you wake up, you just need some time to open up and just like getting out of bed. So give yourself a little bit of time.
It's being good. It's being good to yourself.
It's being good to yourself.
Yeah, this isn't like
yes.
a company thing, like to perform so that the company looks at you in a good way. No, it's
Right.
like that is after. Be good to yourself.
That's right.
You know, you will bring your best if you're good with your time.
Perfect. Let's go to the next one. I like this one as well. It actually is very, very similar to what we talked about earlier, but I think it needs its own life again.
Okay. Treat each shift as if it's your first day. That's actually really good. I like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
exactly. And again, we called it the honeymoon phase, right? So if you maintain the status of coming into your job, the excitement, the passion, I'm going to show my leadership, I'm going to show my coworkers, I'm going to show all my peers and clientele what I can do. If you maintain that every single shift, I mean, I like to call it the Walmart greeter effect. When you walk into a Walmart, they have greeters and they're smiling for the most part. I've never seen one that hasn't really smiled. Hey, how are you? Welcome to Walmart. And they could be going through something. They could be going through something inside. They could be going through family issues. Someone could be dying in their family. But the thing is, they have to show the world a mask, right? They have to literally put on the Clark Kent. See, we're all Supermans. All of us are Supermans and Superwomen. And what we do is we kind of put the Clark Kent veil of just glasses, okay? But what we want to do is we want to show people really who we are as individuals. And by doing that, and if you treat each shift as it's your first day, you're going to come in and you're going to kill that shift over and over again, which will lead to many, many opportunities.
Yeah, see, it's good. Look at it like this. When you say the honeymoon phase,
yes,
I know it's rare, but there are couples that have been married 50, 60 years, and they're still in the honeymoon phase.
That's right.
They still look each other in the eye. They still hold hands and giggle, and they play, and, you know, and it, you know why? They never let the fire die.
No.
You know what that means is they paid attention. They paid attention to their needs.
Right.
So relate that to this work. If you work in a way that's your first day, you're trying to impress. You're trying to bring your best. You're putting in an effort in hopes for something better down the road.
That's right.
Yeah, and that should never die.
No, it shouldn't. No. Which then also, by just instant connection, by doing that, you're also being a team player. And that's our next one. Be a team player. So, for example, what does it mean to be a team player? Now, we love sports in the company. We always reference basketball. Not really hockey fans, but again, at the end of the day, it could apply to hockey. It could apply to every sport.
Hockey is a sport.
Hockey's a sport.
It has a team.
It has a team, exactly. If a starter on a professional sporting team decided one day that he wasn't going to be a team player, he could cost the entire team a win.
Yes.
And we look at everything that we do in the organization on a daily basis. So we need to have wins every single day. So by being a team player, that means not booking off and calling in. I'm not going to come into, I don't feel like coming into my shift today. Because now you're letting your entire team down.
Well, again, you know if you really have a scratchy throat and you're not well, or if you're trying to get off so that you can watch the soccer game with your brother-in-law.
What if there's snow? What if there's like snow outside and it's bad weather and it's like a lot of hail?
Okay, well, I'll quote Inspector Andrew Cooper.
That's right.
Yes. So apologies on the pause.
Yes.
That he had said when it snows they work, and he was inspector for Peel Region Police. We work under the same standard that when everyone else plays, we're working.
That's right.
When it's New Year's, when it's Christmas, when it's all these holidays, guess what? Security works. That is the industry. If you don't like it, maybe it's not an industry for you.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, good. Next one. I love this next one because we actually took this within the organization in 2020 and we made it like our mantra. It was like if anybody watched Pee-wee's Playhouse back in the day, it was the word of the day, but we made it the word of the year and we've made it now the word of the decade in the company. And that is be empathetic.
Yes.
Mike, we had Dr. Brian Goldman on the show, and we talked to him, and he had a book called The Power of Kindness, and he talks about empathy. And Steve Somerville was the one that actually introduced us to this world. What is the importance of empathy in an individual to display in a workplace?
Well, first off, it's not sympathy. It's not feeling bad for someone.
Right.
Empathy means that you actually can feel and think in the shoes of that person.
That's right.
Okay, and why that's important is this should never be something where you have just a shell and you're Mr. Security or Mrs. Security. Okay.
Yes, right.
And you're hiding behind things. You're really a real person that understands that whoever you're speaking with, whether they're intoxicated, whether they're confused, whether they're lost, whether they just need to figure out how does things work in this venue, that you're someone who is empathetic and understands what it would be like to be them.
That's right.
Who doesn't know these things.
That's right.
So that means that it should bring out the patience in you. It should mean that you should have kindness for them. It means that you should take care of them. This is why Dr. Brian Goldman's book is The Power of Kindness.
That's right.
Directly related to empathy. Now, if you say, look, you don't always feel that way. Look, I'm human. You know, we'll quote Dr. Brian Goldman. He had said that empathy is a switch. You can decide to turn it on, and you can decide to say, like, you know what, I'm going to put aside how I feel, and I'm going to help this person right now.
That's right. And it's all about the mindset. The mindset helps you get there. And just so you can know, truly showing and displaying empathy to a circumstance or a situation, the outcome of the situation, it could be completely different than if you weren't empathetic.
Now, that leads us to empathy means that you're because you are empathetic, you can be our next point. You can be a great communicator. And that means that you'll be able to communicate well to the people that you work with, communicate to the public that you work amongst, but also to the company.
Yes.
That's how you perform, that you'll be able to communicate to the office, to your manager, and that you're someone who is not cloaked and hiding, but is really a team player, a professional, and will actually try to work with the office, understanding that the office's role is to try to make sure that you have the best work environment and the best standards to work on.
And for us, Mike, that's huge. So when we do evaluations for any of our employees, communication with the office is a huge piece.
Yes.
The office is the portal of information to our people, but it's also an opportunity for us to be able to just really develop them. And if you've broken the communication lines between basically an office or someone from an office to you and as an individual, you're not really communicating at a top peak capacity.
Yes. I mean, and again, look, just to learn from these examples, we've had high performers on the front line, and we find out there's another side to them.
Yes.
And they are rude, arrogant, and almost disrespectful to the office staff. When we find that out, it's quite surprising.
Right.
Because they think through the phone or, away, because they're not face-to-face with that office individual, that they don't have to care.
Right.
Okay, we want someone who actually cares to communicate, because it means that you're putting the other person, you're putting, I guess, the needs of everyone as a whole, before just your own.
Right.
Okay, which leads us to, I guess, our last point.
Our last one.
Okay. You're going to have to explain this because not everyone gets this.
Right.
Razzle Dazzle.
Okay, so Razzle Dazzle. I love this one. Now, this one I'm going to give the shout out to Miguel,
Yes.
who actually put this one together. And Razzle Dazzle. Now, this is your unique ability to use your personality, or for better lack or better term, your swag, right? To allow you to connect to your team, to the client, and to guests. It is your ability, Mike, to think on your feet when a situation arises, bringing little to no attention to what is actually going on. It is your ability to read social cues, to respect the boundaries, and the ability to de-escalate in your own unique way.
Which is very imperative. Think about that. We're not trying to make clones. We're a company where who you are authentically really matters. I can tell you there's times where I've dealt with conflict on the floor that has been, something that could have maybe got and eventually tipped over to being violent. And I had a teammate tag me out who had a different approach, and they were better.
Yes.
They connected with the culture better. It might have been something where they spoke in a more calm manner. Razzle Dazzle is the ability to navigate and adapt to get the best outcome possible.
That's right. You want to have, if another word for it would be like having an X factor, right? I mean,
yes.
You look at the show X Factor, something different, something unique about an individual that captures the attention.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing I would just say in all of this is this. You just heard right now 9 points to perform your job, the best on the job. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to give you right now my massive disclaimer of like my seal of approval on this. If you apply all these points to the fullest max, not only will you succeed in anything that you do, but again, because a lot of people come to this organization to kind of develop into police officers, I'm telling you, if you come in with strong performance and you put these things directly and apply them to yourself, you will succeed and get to your goals. It's not you may or you may not. You will 100% do it.
Yeah, and as they say, it's not a matter of if, but when.
That's right.
Okay,
that's right.
I think this has been amazing.
This has been amazing. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, if anybody ever has any other things they'd like to throw inside there, please send a comment, send us an email. I'll be sure to put another one out.
Yeah, sounds great.
All right,
guys.
Take care, guys.
This podcast is brought to you by Executive Protection Lifestyle Canada. Make sure to drop by next week and don't forget to subscribe.